Welcome to the only real estate podcast worth listening to, with your hosts Nick Good, Matt Kelderman, and Brian Force. Combined, they have 26 years of experience and have sold over 1,500 homes. Join them each week as they bring you everything you need to know about real estate. And now, here are your hosts, Nick, Matt, and Brian.
Hey everyone, we've got a great show today, like normal.
Yeah.
General housekeeping, if you're listening to this and watching it live, drop a comment down below. And if you're listening to it on iTunes, please leave us a review. Subscribe to us on YouTube.
All those tubes out there.
Also, we've got a new group, the only real estate group worth being a part of, that is a private exclusive group. So if you're interested, if you're a real estate agent or in the real estate business, if you're interested in getting in that group, drop a comment down below or reach out to us, and we'd be happy to add you in there. Yep. But we've got a great show today. We're missing...
Matt, you're looking dashing.
Yeah, changed a lot.
Yeah, we have our first female guest on the show.
And last. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, it depends how the day goes.
And we had to say the first because she did. This is Elizabeth Austin, by the way.
Hi.
She is a superstar real estate agent with the Good Home team at Keller Williams.
Yep.
The number one producer there next to me.
You haven't been the number one producer in years.
Oh, well, in my head, I'm still the number one producer. But, Matt is not with us today. Hopefully he'll be with us next week.
I would assume.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
We'll see how this week goes.
But we're going to talk about today, when we were doing our show prep yesterday, we wanted to bring even more value in. And, some of the questions that keep coming up in our business is, what is that one piece that we're searching for right now, leverage-wise, that is really going to help propel us to taking more market share to that, quote-unquote, next level?
Yeah.
And so we're going to cover some of that. We're going to cover another topic is what is the one thing you can implement in your daily life that is either going to either buy back your time, help you business wise, or help you improve your personal life. So we're going to cover that, and then we've got a viewer's choice topic.
Ooh, mystery box.
So what is Matt or Brian?
Or
so used to
Elizabeth,
throwing
Nick.
it to Matt. So Brian, what is that one thing? I mean, we were talking yesterday. What is that one thing that you guys are needing?
Let's riff on it. This all sounds so official. We just wrote this down on a piece of paper like 10 minutes before we started.
Let's be real.
But no, it's a good question, right? What is the one piece of leverage that you're trying to add to your business, or one thing that you're trying to implement to get to the next level? It's a never-ending process. Our producer's doing the YMCA.
I know.
It's so
is that for me?
distracting, right? No, I mean it's a never-ending battle, right? I don't want to say battle, but it's a never-ending journey, right? We've discussed this, you Matt and I, and Elizabeth as well. We feel that in some ways the seventh level doesn't exist, right? Like you're never going to stop working on your business, even if you're not working in your business and producing every day. You're never going to stop working on your business. And I fundamentally believe that because the reality is if you're the type of person that can build a seventh level business, you're probably not also simultaneously the type of person that can walk away from it.
Well, are any of us the type of people that are ever satisfied with what we have either?
That's how you get there, right? You can't be satisfied. If you were satisfied at a particular given point, like I probably would have stopped doing this a while ago because my life is already pretty much fine, right? Like I'm satisfied day to day, just in like being alive and healthy and financially, okay, right? But you're never going to stop looking for that next piece to help take your business to the next level. For me, it's always something to do with systemization or automation, or what ways can we get our value proposition out there in a way that allows us to scale, right? So whether that's on the actual production side, which is how do we reach more buyers and sellers with our message and our value proposition in a more efficient manner, and then service those clients at an incredibly high level so that we generate more referrals, right? Like what piece do we need to add? For me in my current role right now, it's all about growth and expansion. I believe that there are just countless people out there that would benefit from a partnership with us, and it's my job to, in the same way that our listing agents are, to do to convey our value proposition to our seller prospect. It's my job now to convey our value proposition to the people that need to hear it the most, and to bring them into a partnership with us. And for me, that leverage piece right now is, how do I systematize that more properly, right? Like, how do I go from grinding it out every day and manually getting that value proposition out there to branding that value proposition to a wider audience and create attractive marketing in a way that has people knocking on our door wanting to know more about our value proposition, right? And so for me, that is a lot of implementation of systems that revolve around recruiting, and a lot of
campaigns.
Yeah, in the same ways that we do for our buyers and sellers, right? So it's a mix of just MailChimp, it's a mix of other bolt-on technology, it's a mix of things like we're rolling out webinars and stuff like that. But it's attractive marketing, right? It's not just blast you in the face every day with our message all the time. It's more, on the recruiting side, it's not any different than on the marketing side, right? It's education, right? We do a lot of marketing on the production side through education, right? And whether that's home buyer seminars or just all of our content marketing being formatted in a way that brings real value and education to our buyer and seller prospects, it's no different on the recruiting side, right? So we're implementing a lot of online tools that help agents understand more about how to grow their business, right? Help them understand what leverage pieces they need to get to the next level, right? And being that attractive character that provides value to people on that level. More often than not, you're going to find, just like I found, that my best avenue after I learned what I needed to do to really expand my business to the level that I wanted to was to find a strategic partner to help me do it. And if we continue to educate people systematically, I think that more and more people are going to be attracted to that and be attracted to a partnership with that. So my next piece of leverage is to build out systems that create attractive content and educate people in a way that provides more opportunities for partnerships with us.
And before we ask Elizabeth about it, before you partnered with the HERG organization, when you were running your own team, has that changed since you've now partnered with a HERG group, or has that always been in your mind of this is what you need in order for your business to go to that next level?
I think I knew what I needed, and that's why I did partner. Like, for me, my biggest struggles were I understand, and I think we all understand, anybody who's an entrepreneur that's going to operate at a high level, like, you're going to need to fail forward. Like, you're going to need to fail a lot and fail forward. And models will take you there, but you have to be in a place where you're really capable of failing forward. And when you're in a business that's scaling, most businesses fail not because they didn't learn enough, but because they either ran out of time or capital in their failing process, or I would say that they learned the wrong lessons from those failures. For me, I was having to do way too much on both sides. I was having to do way too much production to make up for the failing that I was doing in my growth, right? Like, I knew when I brought on, certain staff members or certain people or whatever, there was going to be a learning curve for everybody, and there was going to be a turnover for everybody, right? And along the way, it's not just the hiring of the people, and it's not just putting everybody in place and systemizing your transaction process, all that type of stuff. It's also, all right, now I have more mouths to feed. I need more lead sources, or I need to really, really ramp up my lead sources, because it's great and I have a great business whenever all I want to do is my, X amount of transactions per year, my X amount of production a year. I've already figured out how to generate that much business and service it. Now I've got to do that for my 5 other agents on my team, and there might be a ceiling on what I'm currently capable of doing as far as lead flow and marketing and all that type of stuff. So I've got to learn how to do that. I've got to put my systems and foundations in place, my personnel in place. There's going to be turnover there. There's going to be marketing that doesn't work. There's going to be lead costs that goes way up because I'm learning how to do stuff in a new way and in a more efficient way, right? And, at the end of the day, half of my buyers or agents are going to leave because they're brand new, and that's just how the business goes. They're going to run out of money before they get their first couple of transactions under their belt. That's just the realities of running a team.
You're actually being really generous, only losing half.
Yeah, only half, right? And that's just the nature of the beast. But then when you're doing that, it results in an endless feedback loop, because then when that stops working and you hit that ceiling, you go, all right, well, shit, now I got to go do 5 more transactions in the next 2 months just to get back to break even, right? And I'm learning a lot along the way, but how much time and how many years of my life do I want to sacrifice getting to that next level when I can go, hey, here's a strategic partner that's already done what I want to do. Let me plug into their systems, give myself the opportunity to just leverage my strengths, and not have to worry so much about my weaknesses and my failing forward. And let's just grow from there. And it's been a short time since I've made that decision. I can tell you straight up, it's probably the best business decision I've ever made in my life.
Elizabeth, what is the one thing? So you transformed, your transition back into a main producer role, right? You were in a leadership role while producing. You're now into that transition phase of just having that main producer role as basically your job role, right? What is that one piece of leverage you need on the agent side of the business to really help you get to that, to take your business up, next notch?
No, that's a good question. I've been like a full-time producing agent for a total of like 3 or 4 days now. So it's not been too long, but I'm looking ahead already to what I'm going to want to implement to have the type of business that I want to have. So right now I'm getting back into the habits of lead generation for, so many hours every single day. Where I'm seeing this go and grow is adding leverage. So when I was a full-time buyer's agent, the first year I was on the team, within like 6 months, I had a showing agent. So I'm definitely going to be looking to bring a showing agent back. I now obviously work with both buyers and sellers, but I want enough business that even with 50% of my business now going to sellers versus buyers, my business is so much larger than it was then that I can still keep, or between me and some agents on the team, we can keep that person in business. It's also a great stepping stone onto the team, into production. You get money a lot quicker. You don't wait as long as all of us did to have a paycheck. So I think a showing agent's going to be crucial. I think eventually where I see this is going with getting an ISA or getting my own admin on the team to help me with different points. So with that ISA, having this person who can double down on my lead gen with me. So it's not for me to forego mine. It's just to double down or to help with follow-up to make sure I don't miss any steps. I was even talking to you in the hallway, and I'm sitting here, and I'm actually going from podcast to podcast today, driving. I'll be going to Arlington next. So it's going to be a long drive, and I've got 2 offers that I need to write. And I was just thinking, like, damn, it would be really nice to have an ISA write this up and me just preview it and then send it, texted him for a computer. And so just having those little points so that there's no stalls in my business whenever I'm not in a moment when I can actually do something.
Right.
And then my time is spent on appointments, lead generation, lead conversion, running appointments, not even writing contracts anymore. So I think seeing this world eventually where I've got showing agents supporting me, I've got ISAs supporting me, I've got admins supporting me. So I do my number one top things, my 20%, and then everything else is leveraged out and taken care of so that I can just continue to grow, as well as have more of my time back so then I can continue flipping houses, finding rentals, other investments, whatever I haven't even thought of yet.
So that's like a million things that she needs to add. So
I guess showing agent would be first.
So with that showing agent, would you categorize that as being more important than maybe having that extra admin help in your lead gen, for your lead gen role? Or?
Yeah, absolutely right now, because if that keeps me more so in the office or on the appointment, then my time is already freed up then to where anything that admin could be doing. And obviously we've got great admin on the listing side, so that it's on our buy side, I will have more time to support my clients and their business and those decisions. So more accessibility to me even at that point actually for my clients. And then I'm not spending that time, until I'm like Ryan Serhant with a driver. It only makes sense for me to get a showing agent versus... I think that's cheaper route for me.
Well, I think but you made 2 really good points there that I want to touch on. And the first one is, it's anytime you bring on leverage, right? So this is kind of a question that people ask, and I want to make sure that people are asking it for the right reasons, right? People sometimes ask, what's the piece of leverage that you need to add to your business? Because they just want to get rid of doing the stuff that they don't like to do. And that's ultimately the goal, right? Like, obviously we all want to focus on our strengths and use those to continue to grow. A lot of times people ask that question, like I said, it's just to get out of doing the things that they don't want to do. But it's scary to add leverage because it costs money, right? And so the question should be, what piece of leverage do I need in my business, not what can I get somebody else to do that I don't want to do? Because if you can't if that's not financially in your business plan yet, that's going to sink you, right? Like showing agents cost money, right?
Well, and
ISAs
that's why
cost money.
That's a safe bet for me too, though,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm not going to pay a showing agent. They're going to get paid when I get paid, which is at closing.
Yep.
So now they're incentivized to do their job well.
Yep.
I'm incentivized to coach them to do their job well. And I agree. I actually don't mind showing homes. Like, I don't think any of us really love it. No one got in this
Right,
business
right,
to show homes.
100%.
But let me tell you, as stupid as this sounds, because you can train anyone to open a door, I'm damn good at it because I'm so good with clients that I can convert really well, and I can convert and control that client. So it is actually can be a scarier piece. Actually, it's never really been scary because I really believe in leverage, but I can see
Right.
how for some it can be a really scary piece to let go of, and then you're worried about that referral going to them. Never once it's been an issue, but just train them to talk like you. But I think that's
Yeah.
really, really important that this isn't just something I want to get rid of. It is really purposeful, just like it was when I did it in 2017 of now with this time, I'm lead generating more, or I'm doing different, I have more time to do some of the admin work until I'm into a position where I can leverage that out.
Exactly. Well, and also if you train your showing agents properly, you're still generating referrals. They should be a clone of you.
100%.
Right?
They should sound just like I do.
But I like where you went with that because that's the thing, is that you're freeing up your time not to just do things that you don't want to do. You're freeing up your time so you can do more of the stuff that makes you money. And
Yeah.
that's where I'm going with that, is anytime somebody asks that question, I want to make sure that the answer is not just, oh, you need to leverage this, oh, you need to leverage that. When somebody asks, what's the piece of leverage I need to add to my business to go to the next level? The answer should really be, all right, let's take a step back and let's do an audit of your time management first, right? Do you really need a piece of leverage right now, or do you need better time management, which we're going to dive into in a little bit, but I wanted to bring that up because just adding leverage is not real unless you use it to leverage your time into more production. It's not leverage so you can go do other things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the other point that I think you made that was really good is you're doubling down on some of your efforts, right? So when we talk about bringing on an ISA and stuff like that, that's an ISA to lead generate alongside of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not
That's the
in
last thing I think I
place
get rid
you.
of in my own business.
Oh, 100%, right? And that's a huge mistake people make is people go, well, I paid for this shiny new toy. That's going to pump me all the leads I need. I'll just work those, right? Or I got an ISA. They're going to make all my calls. No, they're going to double up your calls, right? If you hire your first ISA, you're still making calls, right? Because that ISA is not going to pay for itself right out of the gate, right? If you want that ISA to then go become your lead ISA who trains a team, eventually you will step out of that role. But I think that's one huge mistake that people make is they start to leverage and then they hand that job off way too soon, and they immediately get it right back because they realize like, oh, that wasn't going to pay for itself right away, right?
100%.
Well, it's funny that we actually went down this path, which was
time
not
management.
on the topic today, right? But something that was in one of the groups that I'm in was posted by Jeff Glover, and he says what is amazing to him is that so many agents, have that notion of wanting to get out of production, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that Elizabeth and I have talked about before, and they want to push everything onto an ISA and stop their lead gen altogether.
Yeah.
And this is our number one money making activity is lead gen,
Yep.
right? Running appointments. So, Jeff's point to his post was, he never got out of production, and we kind of hold these agents who say they're at a 100% out of production at a higher level.
Yep.
And something Elizabeth and I that we've always talked about is that really
Achievable,
real?
yeah.
Is that achievable? Is it really real at a profitable level? And these agents that think they want to leverage that off, that's a wrong move.
Yeah. Well, and it's look, there are plenty of people that are out of production that are running high level teams. I think that the thing to keep in mind and the thing to have real clarity around is getting out of production does not mean getting out of the business of real estate and just overseeing everything from this ivory tower that you've built up underneath you, right? Like, no, if you're getting out of production, it is because you are utilizing your existing skill set to continue to grow the business in other ways. And if you are going to look towards achieving that goal, you need to do it with the clarity of mind that whatever it is that you're going to be taking on in your business besides production is probably going to be just as much of a grind and just as hard as being in production, right?
Good point.
Like I am almost 100% out of production right now, and my days are just as testing and trying and stressful and hectic as when I was 100% in production, had no business, was an individual agent out knocking 1,000 doors a year, and my days are just filled with the exact same amount of chaos and the exact same amount of challenge, right? It's just in a different way now. Now, rather than producing closed sales, I am
generating for talent.
I am lead generating for talent. I am getting our value proposal out there, our value proposition out there in other ways. I'm trying to structure partnerships with people that are intricate and difficult to maneuver and things like that. You know, and it's a completely different type of production. But if you're getting out of production, quote unquote, what that really means is you're getting out of the business of real estate. Because if you're in any role in your business, you're always producing something. Right, so that doesn't necessarily mean closed transactions.
You still get Sphere referrals coming to you, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm running one tomorrow. I mean, that was a Sphere. In fact, I set 2 or 3. What did I tell you? Was it 2 or 3?
I was 3 yesterday. You were 2.
So I was 2. I set 2 from Sphere. So I mean, I'm not 100% out, but it's replacing that if you do go to that and you're leveraging out your lead gen.
I consider everybody on our team to be in production, even our listing and transaction coordinators. They just produce a different product. Right. So if you're saying you
also expect buyer and seller clients from every single person.
100%. Everybody should be a lead generator in some way, shape, or form. But if you're getting out of production, I just think that that's sort of a sexy term that people use. Like, I'm just going to step back and just watch my minions do everything. Like, it doesn't work like that.
We totally used to talk about it, and I'd be like, it's my goal in this many years. And eventually, I think our latest conversations were, I don't think it's ever happening.
No, I mean,
nor should it.
No, I didn't want to set false expectations. Like, yeah, you set that goal of getting out of production because I'm like, that's never going to happen.
No, I learned it myself.
When I stepped out of that role, there was this week of like, what the fuck do I do with this time? So there was that kind of mind shift, and then it's like, all right, in order for this thing to grow, we've got to recruit, and that's something that in my world right now, which is trying to leverage out that agent onboarding and training, which Elizabeth, knows all too well.
Awful.
Yeah, it's it can be a beating and it's a struggle. And so, when I looked at this question and said, all right, what's that one thing that's going to propel us, whether it's this year, next year, 5 years, 10 years into the future, it's going to be agent onboarding.
Yep.
It's going to be training. And that's twofold in training, right? So, I was interviewing for a potential real estate coach and trainer, and I said there's 2 thought processes to how training and onboarding goes. One is you have brand new agents. They don't know shit, right? They're wet behind their ears, they're green. So we need to make sure that we have training in place for them to get them in production as quickly as possible, and then get them in consistent level production so that they're hitting, at least making some money and not always eating ramen for the next 5 to 10 years. Right. And then you have that next level of training of your veteran agents, or if you're, that's currently on your team, that helps for retention, as well as your agents that you're trying to attract into your team that's selling, $2, $3, $4, $5 million a year and looking to align their business with yours. And so that's 2 types of training that we need to have. You need to have that new agent onboarding training to get them in quickly into production. And then you need to have that next level training for them so that they continue seeing that value in them, that their business is growing and growing and growing, which, we do somewhat well. I'm not going to say we do it great. Our training.
There's room for improvement, yeah.
Yeah, there's always room for improvement.
Always.
Our training usually is deeper dive trainings to help them determine, how to take more and more business.
Yeah.
And they typically help us determine what they want to be trained on based off everything they're going through. So it actually ends up becoming pretty tailored. But yeah, there still needs to be what can already be pre-existing then, rather than it always just going with the flow of the market, of the season, the cycle, everything.
And the question, if training and onboarding is something that's, in your world that you need to leverage out, the question is, do you still bring that internal? Is that an in-house type of position, or can you make it a third-party position? Can you leverage out the brokerage you're with? Can you hire a coaching company to do that? And will they have that same level of work ethic that you would expect someone that works for you internally? Would they still be able to help you grow? So those are kind of the questions that go back and forth in my mind that we're looking to implement this year and put that in place, and always perfect, Right. I think that's going to be the name of the game. You talked about 50% of your agents leaving, probably more than that. I think.
Yeah, let's be real.
Yeah.
85%.
It just is what it is, man.
I think we're running at the same level.
Yeah.
The
It's
ones
not
that
you, it's
stay
the
are going to do
industry. I
very,
mean,
very well.
You're
Yeah.
fighting the industry of a 90% dropout in 2 years, so you
100%.
can't think that you're going to beat that, really.
No, I mean, you want to retain at a higher level than obviously the industry average, but you're going to be subject to market forces like everybody else. The industry is what it is, But I think that's sort of a good jumping off point into one of the other things we were going to talk about was time management, discipline, things like that. Like I said before, that one of the things you want to make sure of when you're starting to bring on that leverage is the real need for it, right? And I think that a lot of us, and I know that I try to do this too much early in my career. I'm not saying you should not look for leverage right away. I just don't think that you should look for it for the wrong reasons, right? And so when we go back to time management, leveraging our business, are your hours already maximized, right? Like, I need to leverage my business because in its current stage, in the current model that I'm running, I fundamentally don't have enough time in the day to handle all the leads that are coming in, all the transactions that I'm doing, so on and so forth. Then I need leverage, right? If I need leverage because I like to wake up at 9, roll into the office about 10 and be done by 2 and still want to do 50 transactions a year, I don't need leverage. I need to adjust what I'm doing with my working hours, right? So what do you guys, I know that was one of our questions that we had in the group. What does that daily time block look like for not only your team, what does that daily time block look like for any agent that wants to take their business to the next level?
I thought you were going to be like, or your team. And I'm like, you realize it's the same.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, actually, Elizabeth and I are on the same team, but it's funny that, we talked about this the other day regarding, a listing appointment over the weekend, and I'll let you kind of dive down into what that was. But, Chauncey Pham was the one that asked the question in the group of, this is that kind of that viewer choice topic.
Yeah.
What is your time blocking? What is scheduling? What a day should look like for an agent, kind of time management, the difference between being busy and being productive.
Yeah,
right. And
battle it all
so
the time.
Tanisha pretty much said that they voted for this one. So everything else was closed down.
Well, you got it.
Yeah. So Chauncey, thank you for chiming in on that and asking that. So, Elizabeth, what does that look like in terms of how your schedule looks and if you want that 9 to 2, what should you, how should you, plan the rest of your day in order to still make it productive?
9 to 2. Where did that come from?
That was hypothetical that Brian just threw out.
Oh, that you just get to
That
work from 9 to 2 and you're
9 to
done.
2 schedule
And you're done.
we got going.
So that person's probably not the most successful. Okay, so for me at least, and honestly, this is what it should be for a lot of people when they're brand new, established, whatever it is. But first of all, if it's not on my calendar, it really does not exist. And sometimes when it's on my calendar, stuff still happens. Just like I went to the wrong title company for a closing today, even though it's on my calendar with the location on there. Oops. Yeah, that was a win. Fail forward.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't know if
Anyway.
we can help that.
So I've got every single day lead generation 8 to 11. Even before we had that structure for the team, I had it for myself. It was just a little bit earlier in the day and it was from home. So it used to be 2 hours then, and 2 scheduled hours at least. More happen, but now it is 3 hours and then an hour follow up directly after. Any sort of team meetings that I have on there or it will not happen. I have to put tentative appointments on my calendar, even if they're not 100% confirmed yet, or I will overbook over them and cost myself possible opportunity there. I've got script practice on here. I have every single evening. So I guess that's 8 to 11 lead gen, 11 to 12 follow up. The days we've got meetings, closings, appointments, everything on there. My own podcast, I've got that scheduled. Any event, I'm starting to schedule that in my calendar too. And then every single night from 5 to 7, I've got like either calling back through new leads or lead generation. So for that, I know I'm down to schedule over that if I have an appointment. But if I don't, then it notifies me and it goes off so that if I'm home or if I'm at the office still, then I get back on the phones and I go through new leads that have come in that day or any follow-ups I need to do because it's another great time to reach people. So you really need to have your lead gen, whatever it is for you, your most important task for the day. There's a reason that is first thing in the morning. Based off so many different studies. We don't have to get into that. Everyone's probably heard it. It's the most important thing. Do before you get bogged down, before the people you're calling or whatever that prospecting looks like get bogged down. But also do it before you're putting out fires, because if that doesn't feel like our job, then you're probably not that productive in real estate, and you will let everything else get in the way of that, and then you'll have no business. So
Yeah, and I like that you made that point that, we won't dive too deep into it, but there's reasons that we're going to want to do our most productive stuff in the morning. Back when I was a productivity coach and newer agents, always asked me, if I get my 3 hours of lead gen in the day, they'd be like, I'm just not a morning person. Should I do it from 1 to 4? And, they're already trying to sort of make sacrifices. Should I do? I'm like, hey, why don't you just do it from 8 to 11, right? Like I just said 2 seconds ago, right? Because here's the thing, you cannot foresee what that's going to do for your business and how that's going to take away your afternoon hours. If you think that you'll always have time to lead generate from 1 to 4, then you're going to be broke because you're not doing any business, because I guarantee you your hours from 1 to 4 or 5 are going to be pretty tied up if you're running a successful business.
You also need to think about the people you're trying to get in contact with, what their schedule may look like, and when's the best time for them for you to reach out.
Yeah.
Not to take people away from y'all's podcast, but there's a podcast called Entree Leadership, and there's an episode with Daniel Pink, who's the author of The Science of the Perfect Timing.
It's also the author of Drive.
There you go.
I read a lot of books.
Anyway, he's got the broken down in 3 sections of the day, and 85% of the population follows that. So be specific too, based off the type of person you're reaching, of when those windows of time are they're gonna be most receptive to you too. So you still can't let that impact you, but do your stuff, and then think about that when you want to add in strategy.
100% strategic. I love it. Yeah. So I take a really, really similar approach with our team. It's really timed out, relatively similar. I like to break it up just in really concrete ideas of what we're doing at the time, right? So Ryan Serhant's book, Sell It Like Serhant. I like watching his stuff.
I'm a whole chapter into that.
He's so cool. I read that book in 3 hours. Anyway, he's got his finder, keeper, doer time is what he calls. So it's finder, lead generation, right? Keeper's going to be your follow-ups, right? And then your doer is going to be going on appointments and stuff like that. It's really that simple. You want to talk about time blocking in real estate? For a lot of us, we're not talking about time blocking. We're talking about making excuses for us not wanting to do the crap that we don't want to do. We're so what should our time management be like? Which is really questions how little time can I put into the shit that I don't want to do every day, and work a schedule that still works. Your time blocking is simple: finder, keeper, doer, lead generation, lead follow-up appointments. That's it. 3 hours a day, pretty much for each of those, probably more for your appointments and stuff like that. But we do the same thing. So we give our agents the opportunity to do 2 things in the morning. They can either be there at 7:30 so they can start calling at 8, or they can be there at 9 and start calling at 9. And so the difference there is, if you're coming in at 7:30, we're running scripts, getting warmed up, stretching, whatever. We're on the phones at 8 calling expireds, canceleds right out of the gate, right? For an hour at least, until we go into our regular lead gen hours. If you don't want to do that, you can come in at 9. We have our script practice at 9 for our whole team, our gratitude and everything like that, our goal setting for the day, and then we start our lead generation hours from 9 until noon, right?
Out of curiosity, why the 2 separate time options?
So
Just for the people who want expired certificates?
We've laid this out really, really clearly. We're running a meritocracy. Here's the thing. If I make you come in at 8 and you don't want to call expireds, or it's not your deal, but you're the type of person that can go generate 20 deals from your sphere a year without doing anything, I want you to be able to do that without burning out. At the same time, you're not getting any deals from me that I don't want to do or that I hand off to my agents, right? So like I said, I'm almost totally out of production, and there's a lot of stuff that Matt, my business partner, who you know.
Once or twice I met him.
He either can't get to, or he's got too many clients at one time that he can't physically. He does a lot of buying business, so he can't show.
How long have y'all been doing this time?
It's been a few months now, a couple months now.
Intrigued by this. I could go down a rabbit hole.
But
I don't know that I agree with
I'll
it.
give you the sweet payoff here in a second. But we made it very clear when we implemented this system. If you're here at 7:30 and you're doing the stuff to go the extra mile, that business that we were handing off to people is going to go straight to you, right? So we just did, we implemented some new stuff like Homes for Heroes and stuff like that, stuff that comes directly to us, right? And then we have to hand to the agents, right? So we have systems in place where we get to reward the people who are putting forth that extra effort. And the payoff is, guess how many people have showed up? Yeah.
What if that person coming in at 7:30 produces 12 deals a year, and your person coming in at 9 produces 25?
Yeah.
You're still going to say you're not going to give to skill, you're going to give to time?
No. Like I said, so when I say
Or
meritocracy,
earned.
when I say meritocracy, that is not just based on the time you show up, right? Because I can show up and not put forth a good effort. I can show up and just be bad at what I do.
Okay, Nick, let's do this.
Part of this is being really, really cognizant with who Matt and I and the rest of our leadership is pouring into and really helping along, right? It comes down more to effort, right? I can be in the office and be putting in completely different levels of effort each day, or two people can be in the same office at the same time and be putting forth completely different levels of effort, right? And so there is a lot more that goes into it than the time that you're going to show up in the day. But the reality is that's step one. If you're already showing up earlier than me and you're putting forth the effort and I'm doing my job to pour into you, over the course of a year, we really shouldn't be running into too many situations where people that are showing up late and not doing as much are outproducing you, right?
Have you found not let you finish your talk, but from activity versus productivity, have you found that people are like, well, sure, hell yeah, I can get up a little earlier and I can get into the office and I will be on the dialer, I'll go through the steps because they will hand me more deals?
Yeah, I will tell you the payoff has been that nobody shows up at 9.
Every single one?
Across the board, just about every day, unless they have some other appointment in the morning, it's just something going on. Almost everybody's there at 7:30. Because what the hell else are you doing before 9 o'clock?
Some of them are probably sleeping, but,
Right. But
it's not us.
no, so we gave them that choice as an incentive. They don't have to be there, but it really does. What it does is it creates some friendly and
peer pressure.
It's peer pressure and it's friendly, productive competition again, in between among our agents, right? If I know that the other two people that I'm sitting right next to on either side are going to be showing up at 7:30 every day, not only do I want to make fewer excuses because I don't want to be the person that shows up an hour and a half later, but I also want to earn my keep, and I want my life to be easier because I'm generating more business just because of my sheer effort and because my people that are pouring into me are giving me more opportunities and putting them in front of me. So it's worked out pretty well for us so far. But we do that.
So what's the rest of your day look like?
So it's 9 to 12. 9 to 12 is lead generation. Lead generation is new business. We define new business or new contacts as anybody that you haven't talked to in at least 3 months, right? So that's somebody we've never talked to, like we do call around our listings, all our circle prospecting, things like that, or leads in our database that for whatever reason we have not gotten a hold of in at least 3 months. So if somebody's been on a plan and they haven't been responding or something like that, those are the people that we call, right? From 12 on is just lead follow-up and lead conversion. That is our nurtures. That's people that we're regularly in touch with. Our top 100 leads, the people that are going to be now business or in the next 6 months or something like that. That is us converting and keep in our sphere and things like that. That's either generating business that is recurring or converting people who are a lot further along in our process, right? And then from then on, it's our appointments, right? You should be on appointments the rest of the day, hopefully. And if not, you know why not, and you know what else you need to do.
Right.
Get back there and keep lead generating.
So in our world, it's very similar. So I'm not going to rehash the 8 to 12
Right.
lead generation time. What I will say is what I've noticed in most agents, whether they're on our team or the ones that I was coaching or ones that we just talked to, randomly that we run across is, that they don't stick to their lead gen like it's the only thing that should happen
Right.
in today's world, right? So, they wake up and, let's say they're not feeling well. This is something we talked about, Elizabeth. They're not feeling well. Well, they're just going to sit
the
at
most
home
infuriating thing.
and maybe just lay in bed and watch
Their
TV.
sympathy.
When honestly, you could still lead generate. There's other activities that you can be doing. You could be sending text messages. If you're running a head cold and you sound like shit on the phone, send text messages out because
Exactly.
people
Whatever, get the sympathy.
they'll
Yeah,
It's only
right.
with you.
Call people when you're sick. They'll feel bad for you.
at the end of the day, it's still doing those activities.
Yeah.
Right. So, and there's, Chauncey was asking what's the difference between being, being busy and being productive.
Mm-hmm.
There's, that busy work is running around. Let's say it's doing some paperwork that's
It's the
unnecessary.
feel good
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
right? Like we had an agent on our team who knew her, so just like didn't know any better really at this point. We hadn't had a chance to like approach this with him, but just was showing leases, and that's great because he wants some right now money. But it was like, okay, so that's fine, go out there and show the leases, but when you're done, come back into the office and keep lead generating.
Yeah.
Even though I know you're like, words literally came out of the mouth. I feel really good and busy when I'm out there showing those leases. Okay, so don't just try and add in more showings just to do so. Get back
Right.
here and get a true buyer client, a seller client. And then that'll start to feel really good too.
Yeah, 100%. And going back to, Daniel Pink's book and talking about how most people are on the same schedule, like this comes down, and we can get into discipline and stuff a little bit here as well, because I know we wanted to touch on that. Like this comes down to just being extraordinary at what you do, right? One of the big things that we really make a point to do in our business and for our agents is to go the extra mile. Like how often, and I've been guilty of it in the past, and I try not to be anymore. How often do you have a showing at 2:30 that's like 15 minutes from the office, and you're like, all right, I'm going to go to my 2:30 showing, and it's done by 3 o'clock, and you're like, all right, guess that's the day. That's a wrap, right? No, you're 15 minutes from the office, and it's only 3 o'clock. Get your ass back there and go get more appointments, right? But that is like a sickness among most people in this business. And so if you think that, there is enough time in the day to hit your goals. I just promise you there is. Like the world that we live in would not exist if people didn't go above and beyond, right? And so
I saw something about people who wake up at 5 a.m. versus the people who wake up at 7 a.m. If you just wake up at 5 a.m. every single day, you'll add something like you would have 10 more years compared to the person who woke up at 7 a.m. compared to your lifespan.
But you died 10 years earlier.
Fine with me.
Yeah.
Fine with me. I don't want to be.
Not when you have leverage.
I don't want to be 100 years old. I wouldn't be able to do anything anyway.
No. I want to live forever.
Right. But and that's where we get into just the discipline of it, right? Like if you haven't hit your goals.
It also comes down to be self-aware with what you want.
Yeah.
Do you want an actual massive business or do you not? Do you just want a $50,000 a year life? And that's okay. I don't think that gets stressed enough that you have to have this big why. You have to want this huge life. There's something to be said, like, do whatever makes you happy. I actually got to see Gary Vee live recently, and he talked about this. He said, we don't talk about happiness
enough. You hear that,
enough.
Zach?
Oh, and I'm seeing him again tomorrow. This is like a Gary Vee month. Anyway, but he talked about it. He was like, be okay if what you love to do or what you feel like is the most impactful for the world or for you only generates $50,000. Learn how to live on $50,000. Learn that not everyone needs to be an entrepreneur. Not everyone needs to be a real estate agent. Not everyone needs to make six figures. That's a reality that I think people need to get behind.
100%. It's okay to be whoever it is that you want to be, even if that's not a total world beater, right?
And if you claim to want to be the 1%, then be willing to do what the 1% are going to do. Because
that's
most
what
likely
it comes down to.
You're not going to do it.
And so let me say this, because we only have so much time left, but if we're going to touch on, if you want to be in the 1%, do what the 1% do. We talk about that all the time, but it's very elusive, right? Like, dude, go write an ebook on business secrets of the rich, and I guarantee you'll sell 1 million copies in a day if you market it the right. Like, everybody wants that stuff, right? Grant Cardone wrote like a 10-page pamphlet and was like, here, click this link. And it was like 500 million people did. It was just like some shit he thought of in 5 minutes, right? The reality is there is like everything that you already know you need to do. That's what the 1% do, right? It's the same as our obesity epidemic in America. I use this all the time. I was having this exact conversation with our team. It's like it's a crazy amount, in America, right? And that's not because people don't know how not to be that way. It's because they don't make the proper choices, right? 100%. So I tell my team all the time, I'm like, look, you don't need to go out and be King Kong tomorrow, right? But you need to go and you need to analyze your day. You need to analyze where your time is spent. And you need to ask yourself very, very honestly and be very candid with yourself. Is this what the person that I want to eventually be would be doing with their time? And then make one change at a time, and that's going to lead to more discipline. So for me, Matt and I and Nick talk about it all the time, how early we get up in the morning, right? We don't just get up early in the morning because I want to be 20 years older than everybody else when I'm 31. I'm actually 51 because I've been up so much longer than you guys. Like, I've just been awake for 51 years. No, but because, like, I put it really, really plainly, and I said this last week, if you want to be a badass, just do badass shit, right? And that sounds silly, but the reality is I know that if I want to be well off, I should probably add more time to my day. So I get up earlier. And that's the one change that I made a long time ago, and it really helped me. Then the next change I made after that was, if I want to really be different and be extraordinary, I probably should really get a handle on my finances and understand what goes in, what comes out, and look at my personal financial statement at least twice or three times a week maybe, right? And really understand how I'm getting towards my vision, right? And then maybe if I want to be extraordinary, I probably shouldn't spend every Saturday getting shit-faced, right? I should probably go do something more productive. And then if I want to be extraordinary, extraordinary, I probably shouldn't watch every episode of whatever. I'll just say it, Game of Thrones, right? Like I just like
Never
maybe
seen an episode.
I haven't either, but I'm just maybe I shouldn't be so dedicated to something like that,
What
right?
about Selling Sunset?
So,
I
we
did
watched
watch every
we watched
episode
4
of that.
episodes today in the office. I always got it going on in the back. It's just the drama. Oh my
It's so
gosh!
good.
Anyway.
Here's the thing with it though is we don't. People are inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
If you just stay consistent with just one thing,
Consistent
Exactly.
and persistent.
there's a book about it called The One Thing.
It's called The One Thing.
Yeah, have you read it?
I have
have
read
too.
it. I have. Indeed, I've read it.
I haven't read.
I was
the
reading that with
Mario.
multiple other books though, so
Ooh,
I
so
wasn't.
that
I was
right there is an
yeah.
oxymoron.
But just stay consistent. So if you're going to lead gen, stay consistent with your lead gen and fish from one pond. This is something we talk about on our team all the time. Is some of our team members have problems with. They see Elizabeth setting an appointment from one of our lead pools, right? So they all want to run over there and fish from the same pool because they were having no luck catching a fish in that
Yeah.
current pond that they were in.
Right.
And it's like stay consistent with that one lead gen activity that you're doing.
Yep.
For mine, for the longest time, was expired listings.
Yeah.
I suck at for sale by owners. To this day, I still suck at that. I would not.
I think he's brainwashed me to think I suck at it too because I've never closed
yeah,
one.
but we're really good at expired listings.
Yeah,
That
that's
is
my number one
that is our
source.
niche and specialty. We're great at cold calling.
Right.
We've gotten over that fear of rejection and over how people handle that. We can
We've
get
improved with our sphere.
yeah, we
There you
can. We've definitely improved with our sphere, right? So it's like a domino effect. When I first started this, I was horrible at everything. So I made the commitment to expireds. One of my coaches was like, dive deep into one thing. Then once you get really good and master that, then go to the second thing. Problem is, we want to go shotgun approach and try to be, all things to everything, and it can't go that direction.
That's 100% true on a personal level. So I'll just say the most arrogant thing that anybody's going to say on this podcast probably this year, right? You have to build habits one at a time. If you want to talk about discipline and maintaining your discipline, stop trying to be the person that you're trying to be 10 years from now today, right? It can't come down to that one thing. And if you can be candid with yourself and analyze all the things that you need to improve in your life, do not try to attack them all at once because you're not that person yet and you won't do it, right? So if you're not already, and that's true in goal setting, right? If you only sold 5 houses last year, don't try to sell 100 next year because you haven't figured out how to do it yet because you haven't put the habits in place or built that business yet, right? So if you're running a 250 unit a year business or a 100 unit a year business, and you're asking, hey, what do I need to do to be like you? Well, the reality is you're not me yet, and you're not Nick Good yet, right? And so stop trying to be, right? Take one habit that you need to put in place and make that your habit for the next 90 days. Get up earlier. Cut out the shit that you do late at night that keeps you up, right? Read more, right? Read 50 books this year, right? Or whatever it is that you're going to commit to personally to get you that next level of growth, then you'll master that. Then you'll move on to the next thing, and then you'll move on to the next thing. And in a very short amount of time, just a couple of years, you'll look back and you won't even recognize the person that you are, and you'll be a lot better off. And I don't mean to be arrogant in saying that. I mean to be realistic. We try to just become overnight sensations, and success is not built that way. It's not built in business, and it's not built personally. In business, you will not go from a small-time producer to a mega team in a year. So stop trying to do that, right? And personally, you're not going to go from a person who has a lot of vices and is average at a lot of things and become a master of them all at one time. Take them on at once and be strategic. Commit to the one thing that you're going to master it, and then move on to the next thing. And that's why we have such a big burnout rate, is because people think they can be all things at once, and then they burn out and they quit.
Well, that and to piggyback back off of both of that, I can't speak. That's really hard. Is
Welcome
have
to
your
my world.
have your blinders on, because to piggyback off Nick, if they see me set an appointment with someone who's an expired, then all of a sudden changing their list to expired. But last year, the only thing you closed from was like internet leads.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? Why are you putting that in your position? Or I really want to start working with sellers. Okay, so let's integrate that. But let's not get rid of your buyers. If that
Yeah,
was
don't get rid
all
of
of your
things you do
business
well.
last year, that needs to be in your extra time on top of it until that's something that you own. So I totally agree with that, because I see that happen all the time. Let's even talk about with our team a little bit of coming in on time to be there for scripting, be there for lead gen. If people start coming in late, that doesn't matter because them coming in late doesn't have to
Doesn't
impact my
affect-
business.
yeah, it
So
doesn't
I'm
affect
still
you.
going to be there every day before the team actually starts lead generation or scripting because that's how much I want the business. I'm going to always make sure I get it and other people's actions aren't going to impact that.
100%,
So
man. And a lot of, and I will tell you, and we got to wrap. Nick's giving us the.
I know.
I in a very, very simple way, what this comes down to, whether it is your business, whether it is, going back to our obesity epidemic or whatever, it comes down to very, very simple choices, right? So like I got to tell you about a very difficult choice I have to make tonight, right? I have to be up at 4 o'clock tomorrow morning because I got to start my day. The Dallas Stars are playing in the playoffs at 8:30 tonight. I have a really, really, really tough choice to make because that game's not going to be over till 11:30 at night.
Just don't go to sleep.
And I either have to play through and just drink a lot of Red Bull, or I've got to make fundamental choices in my life that say, you know what, I don't need to watch every hockey game ever. Maybe I can build a life where I can never have to work again and go to all the hockey games, right? But if that's the choices that you can't make, this probably ain't the business for you.
yeah.
Well, that's a wrap on today's show. Usually Matt does this part, so I don't really.
We have no idea how to end this show.
No, I don't know how to end it. But if you're watching this, listening to it, whatever method you're consuming this, please leave us a review, subscribe to iTunes, and then if you're wanting to be a part of that exclusive group, the only real estate
It is a good group.
worth being a part of.
You learned the name.
Yeah. It's actually a great group. Our goal is to get to 1,000 members here by the end of May. I think we're almost at 700.
You're past
we're
700.
just
I creeped.
We're past 700, so our goal is 1,000. So please join up. Please request. Drop a comment down below.
And if you're in the group, share stuff. We want to hear from you. It's
Yeah.
not just like us talking crap or whatever. Share your stuff. We want to hear. We want to hear from you guys, and we want to talk.
And then I think we say, Daniel, take us out.
Dun-dun-dun-dun.